remarkable young woman, 20 years old, Amala Ekpunobi. She's a member of PragerForce. She actually spoke to the board of directors of Prager University at a board meeting this week. And we're very, very happy we found you, and happy you found us. We'll get to that in a moment. So just to recap, Amala is the daughter of a Nigerian father and American white mother. And they separated when she was 6, and that's her. That's the personal story in a nutshell. Her mother was, as a result of college, she became a person of the left. So were you raised? You were raised on the left.
Absolutely.
Was there, when you were 15, was there a voice in you saying, is this all correct, or you pretty much believed it?
And when I was 15, I was completely indoctrinated by the left. You could not reach me if you jumped in my head and gave me your own ideas. And I was, like I said, extremely angry. Anybody who wanted to pick a fight with me, I was there to argue, and I was there to spout the talking points and the buzzwords.
Well, here's a question I don't know if you're asked often. Did you buy the line that being a person of color, you were persecuted?
Absolutely. And it was ingrained into me from a very young age, actually. So growing up with my mother,
you grew up thinking pretty much America is systemically racist?
Yes.
And had it in for you?
Yes, absolutely.
If I'd have asked you when you were 15, so how has America's systemic racism and the universality of white prejudice against blacks, how has that actually affected you? What would you have answered?
I would not have had an answer.
I don't think any of them, them meaning people of color who believe, the people of color on the left, people and whites on the left don't either. It's the greatest lie. And it's backed up with nothing. It's backed up with studies.
It is,
but not real life. It is somewhat of you'll find this of interest. I think I've been doing radio for 35 years, and I have a lot of black listeners, which I'm delighted to say. And every so often, I will get a call about, Dennis, you don't know what it is to walk in a black person's shoes. I don't know what it is to walk in my wife's shoes. I'm not being cute. No one knows what it's like to walk in anybody else's shoes. That's the human condition. The caller doesn't know what it's like to walk in my shoes. All right. So I say, okay, and if I walked in your shoes, what would I experience? Well, tell you the truth, every day I experience racism. So I've had an answer for 35 years, and it's an honest answer. Okay, if it happens every day, what happened today? And then they say, well, day's not over. Okay, what happened yesterday? Because yesterday is over. And I've never in 35 years gotten a response from someone claiming to experience racism every day. But you wouldn't have had an answer at 15.
I would not have had an answer. And it's funny enough, I grew up in a very conservative, mostly white area in Central Florida, and I was extremely successful. I was top of my class. I graduated valedictorian. And you still would have come up to me and asked me about it, and I would have said that America was systemically racist, even though I had not experienced any of it. And that's how corrupt our media is. That's how corrupt our schooling system is. And their influence is very strong, especially with young people.
God, I love her. I do. What am I going to tell you?
Thank you.
So, what happened? What did you wake up one day? Was there a theophany? Did you have a burning bush like Moses? What happened?
So what happened for me was I graduated at 17. I wasn't too keen on going straight into college, and I started working for my mother's organization as a youth organizer. And for me, my target audience was anybody from the age of 13 to 18. So I would travel around to schools and find their Democratic clubs or their left-leaning students, and I would talk to them about coming and working for the organization. And that involved going to our education seminars, getting involved with protests, going around and canvassing and door knocking. And I put myself in a position where I was a role model to young people, and they had plenty of questions for me, and they were questions that I could not answer. And I went to my superiors and I asked these questions, and I saw a lot of hate, and I got a lot of hate in return. So I had to go out and seek my own answers, and that's how I came to be a conservative.
Can you give an example? Do you remember what some of those questions might have been?
So a lot of it was, what can I do as a person to stop this racism? And can you give me examples of numbers and things like that that I can prove to people that this is happening in America? They wanted proof of what I was saying, that America is systemically racist, that we are oppressed, that we live in a patriarchal society. And I could not provide that proof to these young children.
Well, the left would give a standard answer, for example, the disproportionate number of blacks in prison. Mm-hmm. So would you have an answer to that? In other words, at 17, would that have been a convincing response that America is systemically racist? At
17, that would have convinced me, hook, line, and sinker. I would have believed it.
Well, you're only 20, so we're talking about a recent change.
Yes.
So it was that you started asking questions?
Yes. So I experienced a lot of hate working for the left. I realized I was a very angry person. When I went into work each day, it felt like, okay, there are things you can and cannot say. We need to stick in that. You have to agree with everything on all sides of the spectrum or you're not with us. And there was a lot of hate, particularly for white people. And I had spoken with a supervisor and I said, I'm half white. Am I supposed to hate that half of me? Am I supposed to hate the family?
Okay, so let me just say the day you asked that, it was over.
Yes.
That is why they don't want 5-minute videos.
Yep.
It doesn't take long to burst the leftist bubble.
Yep.
We'll be back in a moment with Amala Ekpunobi.